Same-sex marriage postal plebiscite. Ballot papers will be arriving at your home from September 12th. How will you vote? Here are some facts to help you make an informed decision. Same-sex marriage versus traditional marriage. The Great Debate. Same-sex marriage is promoted by the LGBTIQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer. Plus, they also advocate for numerous other genders. The number of same-sex couples in Australia. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics in 2016, there are 46,800 same-sex couples, or 93,600 individuals. That only is 0.4% of Australia's population. And furthermore, only about half of these are actually interested in marrying their partner. Same-sex couple current rights as it stands today. Married couples are recognized as a couple in the following entities. And since 2008, there has been some 80+ amendments to the legislation to give de facto couples, including same-sex couples, all the same rights. Please refer to the DSS Recognition of Same-Sex Relationship website for further information. I would also like to highlight the following quote from an article published on the Greens website in 2015, and I quote, "In Australia, marriage equality actually has few practical impacts. State-based de facto legislation gives same-sex couples practically all of the same rights as their married straight counterparts." Please refer to the article named Beyond Marriage Equality on the greens.org.au website. Having confirmed that all legal rights have been achieved, what is then the aim of the LGBTIQ activists? Again, let me run you through a quote from the same article as before. When referring to gay and lesbian marriage equality, they declare, and I quote, "So when we achieve it, we can all celebrate and relax, right? Not a chance." The columnist also writes that, and I quote, "Recent experience has also found government-funded school chaplains preaching highly homophobic material at schools. By this, we can be sure that teaching various Bible verses which addresses the issue would be classified as homophobic material and should be silenced." This is Masha Gessen. She's a Russian-American journalist. However, she is also a prominent gay and lesbian activist.
But I mean, I agree. It's a no-brainer that we should have the right to marry. But I also think equally that it's a no-brainer that the institution of marriage should not exist. So that causes my brain some trouble. And part of it, why it causes me trouble, is because fighting for gay marriage generally involves lying about what we're going to do with marriage when we get there. You know, because we lie that the institution of marriage is not going to change. And that is a lie. The institution of marriage is going to change, and it should change. And again, I don't think it should exist. I don't like taking part in creating fictions about my life. That's sort of not what I had in mind when I came out 30 years ago. You know, I have 3 kids who have 5 parents, more or less. And I don't see why they shouldn't have 5 parents legally. I don't see why we should choose 2 of those parents and make them into a sanctioned couple.
Traditional marriage In Australia then? Well, since 1866, the legislation always stated one man and one woman, and to the exclusion of all others. The amendment in 2004 still consisted of the union of one man and one woman, to the exclusion of all others. There has been no change in this legislation since then. So how does any change to the legislation affect me? For starters, freedom of speech and faith will be impeached. An example of this was when a Christian street evangelist was charged in Brisbane for preaching that homosexuality is a sin. The Australian Equality Party aims to take away free speech from those who oppose same-sex marriage. Parents will have no right to teach Christian beliefs to children. So how does it affect children? Well, a child's needs will be disregarded and become secondary. Same-sex marriage institutionalizes the stripping of a child's natural right to a mother and a father in order to validate the emotions of gay and lesbian adults. The indoctrination of children through the Radical Safe Schools program, which aims to normalize homosexuality and gender fluidity to kids as young as 8 years old. What about how it will affect society? Homosexual lifestyle would become the new trend and the new norm. Breakdown of the moral fabric of society, the introduction of other relationships such as polyamorous marriages, polygamous marriages, pedophilia, and incest. So, how will you vote? Some reasons to vote yes might be the right to the term marriage for the gay and lesbian community, to normalize homosexuality, to normalize gender fluidity. However, there are some very compelling reasons to vote no. First of all, which legislation are we voting for? There has been 22 different submissions to date. To prevent the loss of freedom of speech and faith for churches, local businesses, and individuals. Changing of laws for minority groups is a very dangerous precedent. Stop the Radical Safe Schools program. Stop gender theory. Preventing pedophilia, polygamy, etc. But the most compelling reason of all will have to be that it is not what God had intended.